Oh man, watch out. We got a good one for you today. This is episode number 61 of Usually Wrong, and it's with Helen Wildy. I'm very excited, and you should be as well. Couple thank yous before we get going. Let's take a sip of Gatorade first. Could I redo the intro? Of course. But I run a professional show. I'm not going to do that. Big thank you to the folks in Columbus for putting on and having me on the Whiskey Bear Comedy Festival. That was the best. That was the first comedy festival that I have ever done, and it was run so well. And I'm so honored to be a part of it. Did a lot of fun shows. Did a show about hot dogs. That was a fun one. Did a show in my underwear. It was fun. Thank you very much to Dustin Meadows, Nikki Winkleman, Tom Pluth, Lisa Berry, and for Pat Deering for putting me on. And I'm really appreciative. And I'd love to have you all on this show to talk about it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you very much to those who came out to the Nolf and Nop Comedy Hour out in Allenbury, which might be one of you who listens. Who knows? Who knows? It was a lot of fun. It was the longest set that I've ever done, and I feel very good about it. Derek Knopf Snyder, hilarious as always, and I really appreciate the folks at Allenbury for putting us on for that as well. So thank you for all of that. If you'd like to come see me do some more shows, you can find all of that at nateknolf.com. For all that real fun information, I'll tell you about more shows later. Who cares? Anyway, let's get to the real reason that you're here. Helen Wildy, who's very fun. She's one of my favorite comics in the city. She is wonderful. She is absolutely hilarious. And if you don't know about Helen, well, listen to the whole episode because she's great. May 30th, she'll be at Arcade Comedy Theater for the ACLU show. So come out to that. If you're in Detroit, she will be in the Detroit Women in Comedy Festival. Flying crap. I should have asked her. You know what? She probably told me, and I didn't write down what the date of that is. Hold on. Detroit Women in Comedy Festival. Tap. I'll be able to tell you in 1 second. Could you look it up? Absolutely. Thursday, May 30th to Sunday, June 2nd. She will be on shows Friday and Saturday. So that should be really good. If you're anywhere in the Detroit area, which I know some of you are, go out to that. Go support Helen because she's absolutely hilarious. And that's it. I hope you enjoy this episode. Episode number 61 of Usually Wrong with Helen Wildy.
When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that and forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You will be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living. That is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
What the hell was I thinking? We was doing.
Like it? That good? I have Gatorade back there too. If you like this,
Thank you.
no problem.
I'm gonna just break this table in half.
We'll go ahead and start. We'll just talk. If you could hold the microphone right here, that's the best way to do it. You can adjust it. Those are shitty mic stands.
Do you mean right
too.
here?
I don't keep these. I try not to keep these on super long, but I've had so many people say, "Yep, shitty mic stands." No, you didn't break it. Those are shitty ass mic stands. If you like, just hold this and go up and down. That's the easiest.
Okay,
It's too
cool.
high or low.
Hello.
It's so funny that you were with like a work colleague, like somebody who's older. I just had lunch yesterday with my old boss.
That's
It
so
was
cute.
So nice. And he messaged me too. He was
Yeah.
like, "It's great to see you're doing so well in
Yeah,
comedy."
she was
I'm
like, "Do you
"Man."
want to have lunch?" And I was like, "Yeah, just make me that. Do not disturb." Yeah, I was like, I would love to. And then there's like she used to work at Giant Eagle, and so she was all the way up in Gibsonia, and I'm in the north side. And so I was like, "Where's halfway?"
Yeah.
So we met like in Hampton, which is where I'm from.
Yeah. Do you get
Which is
along
funny.
with older people generally? Because I do. I
I do.
work in like an older person market for
I
my day job.
do.
I love talking to old people.
Me too.
And
Big
the
fan.
49 is not old. 41, 19, that's not old.
I'll tell you what, like when it gets to like 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as good.
I don't think anybody's as good.
Like
I don't think they're as good.
like grandparent level, I'm not as good because I didn't grow up really with grandparents.
Oh, okay.
I had one. We moved. All my grandparents died when I still lived in Ireland, except for one.
Oh, wow.
Who then we moved to the States when I was 6.5, and so she used to live there. And then she got dementia not too long after we moved here. So when I would talk to her, she was like, "Why do you have that accent?" And I was like, "Reminder, I moved to the United States of America. I live there now. I'm grown up." And she was like, "Got it." And so so like my experience with older people wasn't always consistent.
Yeah.
And so, and growing up in Ireland, my great aunt was a nun.
Oh, wow.
And so we would go visit her. She lived in England, actually. And we'd go visit her at, it was like Sisters for the Poor in somewhere in England. And it was like her and like all these old people. And that would like intimidate me as a child.
What?
They'd always be like, "Give me a hug." And it's like, "Stranger."
I love anything Europe. I really do.
Cool.
I studied abroad in London for like 4 months, obviously. And I'll tell you, when I went to London, I was like, I'm going to be so cultured. I'm going to be so different. I found myself sitting in a Starbucks across the street from a Chipotle. like I could have gone downtown. What brought you over? What parents? America.
Parents,
why?
America. Why?
A job?
I get this question
Good questions.
a lot.
Okay. Answer it definitively.
I'm going to ask you a question in 3 words. You put it together. Parents, America, why? So my dad, I'm the youngest of 4 children.
Okay.
And my parents are both born in Ireland. Their parents are born in Ireland.
Yeah.
Their parents is a long way back, born in Ireland. And my dad started working for an American company the year I was born, 1986.
Okay.
He just retired.
Congratulations.
33 years.
Congratulations.
Wow.
That's great.
So he was working for this American company called Amatec, and
Okay.
they offered him a job in 1992 in either Belgium or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Interesting.
And
Was it just Pittsburgh was where the company was based out of at the time?
It was, where they're like branch in
And
the
then
U.S.
Belgium.
And Belgium.
That's weird. I have a friend who lived in Belgium in high school because there was a company from Pittsburgh and they had headquarters in Belgium too. So they went back and forth between
Isn't
there.
that weird?
Yeah, it is weird.
It's a weird
It's
connection.
strange.
So they said, we had like a family meeting about it. I remember I was 6 years old and we had
Really?
a family meeting.
You had a call. You had a
It was so nice of my parents to be like, "What do you think?" Because obviously it's a huge change.
Yeah.
And we ultimately decided that it wasn't fair. Like, so my eldest brother Martin was 15 when we came here, so it was like not fair for him to go to college or to high school essentially in a country that
Different
we didn't speak
language.
Yeah, so they were like, that might set him back. And Stephen was 12 and Alan was 8 and I was 6. So it was like,
Yeah.
or we could go to Pittsburgh for a few years where they speak English and everything will be fine. And we sort of had like, I think a leg up sort of on the education system for our school in Ireland versus here.
You had a leg up in Ireland.
Like coming here, it was like going to Belgium would have been more of like we don't speak the language, we're set back maybe, versus like the school system in Ireland was really good.
You can understand what your instructors are saying, right? It's not completely different.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't even think about taking Spanish for 4 years and where they typically just spoke Spanish. And I'm like, okay, that's why I don't know any fucking Spanish.
I studied abroad also, but I went to Spain.
You went to Spain?
Because I thought it would be advantageous to learn Spanish.
Oh, really? Do you speak Spanish?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
If we're counting Spanish, and we can, 2.
Was there any pressure to learn more languages being from Europe? Is that a thing? I guess I don't even know if that's a thing.
It sort of is. I mean, there's that joke that's like, what do you call someone who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 1 language? American.
I've never heard that.
That is a joke they tell in Europe.
I've never heard that.
So I guess there's that, but I don't know. My family, like all my cousins, like in Ireland, you usually take French. It's very common there.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
When we lived there, we would holiday in French all the time, and in France all the time, and then we would. So it's like a language you learn.
Well, that would have helped in Belgium too, right? I mean, they speak French.
They do speak French.
Right.
But when we came here, it was just sort of like I felt like languages were discouraged. So like my dad's really good at languages, and my brother Steven's really good at languages, and I'm sort of good at it, not as good as they are. But so I remember I took Latin for 3 years and French for 3 years in high school. And then when I was like applying for colleges, like I had straight A's in languages like English, French, and it was like sort of my thing. And they were like, you've already like met the requirement for languages. You don't have to take that anymore. Rather than like fostering like, hey, you're good at this. Like you should continue with languages. It was like, you don't have to do that anymore. Thank God.
Why was it discouraged?
I don't know.
Why? That's really interesting.
I think a lot of people just thought of it as like a thing to get over with and not like, hey, actually, it's really cool to speak another language. And yeah.
I was just talking to Trevor Austin about this on his episode, but my girlfriend Monica can speak really good French, and she's gone there and stuff. And then we were watching that show 90 Day Fiancé on TLC a couple weeks ago. I'm like, motherfucker, am I going to go my whole life without learning another language, without being able to speak another dialect?
I can't believe the
I think
lessons
that's
we're gleaning
crazy.
from 90 Day Fiancé.
Isn't it crazy? I can tell you a million things that I've learned not to do in a relationship from that show. Have you watched that show?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's incredible, Helen Wildy. It
You're like-
really is.
You're like, I'm watching 90 Day Fiancé, and I'm like, you know what? I should learn another language. That's hilarious.
That's really it. I've
Wow.
also learned not to cheat on your spouse.
That's
from
another
90
good
Day
takeaway.
Fiancé. Not to be on Tinder.
Hot
because
takeaways.
I want to play a drinking game where every time they say cultural differences on
Oh,
that show, you
no.
have to drink. That's like the whole bit.
That's
So,
so
but
funny.
when did you get into comedy then?
When did I
Did you
get
have an
in?
interest in it at all before you started? You
Yeah,
had to
I
have.
love comedy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from the time I was young, I've loved comedy. My family's very funny. Like aunts, uncles, cousins.
Your
Like
family is
Yeah,
funny.
my parents are so funny. My brothers are so funny. Like
Yeah.
everyone in my family is very funny. And so I didn't like think. I thought everyone was funny. Like when I went to school, it was like people were like, you're really funny, and I was like, everyone's funny.
Yeah,
Like, what do you mean? Like,
right.
if you're not funny, you
And you
like
realize
don't get the
people aren't.
potatoes passed to you at dinner. Like, what do you mean?
Was your family like cracking bits funny, or were they like aggressive funny, like making fun of each other funny?
No, they're like very kind funny. Like
Oh, okay,
they
yeah.
don't like. I mean, a little bit of teasing. Like I have 3 older brothers.
Sure.
Like a little bit,
But
but
they
like,
weren't constantly making fun of you for things. Like my buddy Eric, his friend
Yeah.
was all. That's how he learned to be a funny person to me. Why he's funny to me.
Yeah.
It's because he's made fun of me all my life. But that's because he grew up in a family
Yeah.
that just constantly. If you slipped up one time, you were getting
Oh,
poked
yeah.
at, like jokingly, but like aggressive joking.
Yeah, we can do a little bit of roasting. My brother Alan said to me that like I had to be, because I was the youngest, I had to be funny enough to like shut it down. Like if they were teasing me,
Oh,
I had
right.
to be like,
Well,
zing,
that's it.
shut it down. But that's not like mostly our humor. It's like
Yeah.
silly, like joyful.
Yeah,
funny.
well, that's what Monica told me going into meeting her family is like these people, like not these people, my family.
These
will-
people.
these people.
Names unknown.
My family will make fun of you and
Mm.
they will tease you for things, but you have to come back with stuff immediately. You can't be defensive. You
Right.
can't lock up in jokes. I even think about that as like in the social scene in Pittsburgh comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have that give and you have to have that back and forth with people, or people think you're weird.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't play the game.
Right.
That's
So when did you start doing comedy?
I started doing comedy. My first open mic is different, I think, from when I started doing comedy, because I
Tell me
did
why.
my first open mic in 2012.
Okay.
Long time ago. It was back at the Beer Hive when Kleiber was
Whistle.
hosting it.
Oh, okay.
Long time ago,
Yeah.
September. And my brother Alan also, I think, thought about doing stand-up, and like he was very funny, and still is alive and well.
Something happened.
and
He's not funny anymore. I
he
don't
doesn't.
understand.
He will not crack a joke since that day.
We're sure something's wrong. We don't know what it is. He won't talk to
Alan,
us.
if you're listening, dial in. So he bet me that I would never do stand-up comedy.
Oh, that's so fun.
And I was like,
That's so fun. You're like, motherfucker,
I
you're
was
not
like,
gonna.
you can meet me at the Beer Hive on Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Do you have a competitive side to you?
with
Is that where that
Alan.
comes from?
With Alan, I do.
him specifically.
Yeah, otherwise, and I'm competitive against myself, I think, but which is why comedy's a great sport for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're really competing against yourself,
Yeah.
I think. You're like trying to do better than you've done before and like get better and be funnier and like write better jokes.
Yeah.
So that's really helpful for me. I'm not like athletic competitive. I'm not
Yeah.
games, other than with Alan. Like it kills
Yeah.
me to lose to Alan
Okay.
because
I
he's very
understand.
competitive.
Yeah. There's baggage there.
Yeah.
So competitive baggage. Yeah.
And I found out there's a game called Racco. I don't know if you remember
Mm-mm.
it back in the day. It's like you have to put cards in order, like numerically.
No.
And it's like, it sounds easy, but I
They're
lost
hard.
every time. And then when I was like 18, I realized, I saw him like move cards and I was like, are you cheating? And he said, Helen, I've cheated at this game every time since we started playing it. And I was like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Alan is older.
Yeah, they're all older.
They're
But
okay,
Alan
excuse
is
me,
the
yeah, yeah.
next up.
Okay, so let me put this to you. So I think of it as I'm the oldest in my family, so I'll look
Mm-hmm.
to my father. When my whole family would go to play mini golf or something like that, my dad never let me win anything. He
Oh,
never
wow.
let me win anything. And that made me competitive towards my dad. And the
Yeah.
first time that I beat my dad in mini golf, I'm pretty sure I still have the scorecard because it was such an important
framed on your wall.
milestone. Is can it be compared to that sort of thing? Like maybe because he was older, he was better at you whenever you were growing up with things, and now it's motherfucker, I know what I'm good at.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that, and I think it's like sort of an admiration of like you're really good at things, and like to beat you, like growing up, your big brothers are like the be all end all, because it's like they're older than your friends, like like so probably they're better at things than you are, and it's like
they're older. They're just older.
They've been doing things longer, they get it. And so Alan was always better at everything, and so I was like trying, but because I was the only girl, I think they weren't as competitive with me as they were with each other.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that. So it was like, and Alan and I are only 2 years apart. So like Martin's 9 years older than me.
So you're pretty
Steven's
much the
6
same
years older.
age.
Yeah. So we grew up together.
Yeah.
We were in high school together. Like we went to like we were always together.
Yeah.
And like we shared a room in Ireland together. Then we moved here, got my own room. Very exciting. And then so it's like Alan and I've always been like sort of like really close, and so like he was like my benchmark for like, and he was so good at everything, so I was like, I'm gonna be good at things, but I also was like, I'm not gonna be good at sports. Like there are some things you're just self-aware.
I'm 100% on board with that. I was good at running, kinda, and that's it. Oh my gosh. Okay, but you said something that's interesting, admirable, that he was good at things. I admire that he's good at things. I want to be better than him. Is that right?
Yeah, kinda? I think I wanted to be like him in the things like he was. Like I thought, I think I knew my limits. So like I did track because he did track, and he would like win every race, and I came in last. It was like every time I came in last, my parents were just like cheering equally hard for both of us, which was so sweet. But he was like winning every race, and I was like last out of 4 people.
Yeah, I get it.
Like it wasn't.
I get it.
And I was like, maybe this isn't for me. But then like he was like the star of all the musicals and like the plays, and I was like in like the chorus, where I had like a little part. Yeah. And so like and then he was always like, hey, you're really funny, like you should be like a comedy writer, and like we always thought he has a minor in theater, and like he'd act it out. You know what I mean? So then when he was like, you'll never do stand up, and like dared me, I was like lit this fire in me to be like, for you, Alan, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna be proud.
But do you have that same but you don't have that same competitiveness with anybody else in the context of admirability? Like I look at and I don't think I do either. But I do think that would be advantageous starting out in comedy. I went to open mics when I started, obviously still would do, but when I would go to open mics when I first started, I would admire those who have been there 5, 6, 7 years in the context of I want to be as good as them. So I think that's a very applicable trait when we're talking about starting out doing something where there's no direction. There's really no direction on how to get good at
you're not
this.
like, hey, go to this, like get these degrees, and then like show your credentials at the door. It's like you just have to show up, eventually make friends.
Yeah, your W-2 is not going to say jokes when you start. It's just not going to say,
Right, and Alan would always be like, you could go to an open mic one time and be like, I'm a comedian.
Well, you know there's something to do. And that was what I wanted to do, too. Yeah, I wanted to get one picture. I'm that stereotypical idiot who wanted to get one picture doing stand-up comedy. And be like, hey, guess what, friends and family?
Look at me now. Look at me. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, so like I would go to and I would admire these people, but I was like so starstruck by people in the scene that I was very shy for a long time. So like I would go to open mics. Like when I first started, I would go like every 6 months for like years, like once every 6, like not obviously enough. Right. And then I would start going like once a month, and when I would go, I wouldn't socialize. I was so nervous, and I would just like go and I would sit and I would watch everyone, and then I'd go up and do my 5 minutes, and then I would sit and I would watch, and then I would leave at the end. Like I didn't realize you could go in the other room, you could talk to people, you could make friends. I was so nervous about it.
Which is half the job almost, talking to other people.
It's really the best part now. It's like, it's so fun. And like, there was so much of it. So like, I would say I've been doing it regularly for like 3 years, maybe.
Okay.
And yeah.
But you have those 6-month windows. When did it finally click that you want to start going more, and why?
3 years ago, probably. That's when it started clicking.
Oh, okay. But even 3 years. Okay.
But even then, it was like I would go like twice a month, or like it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Right. And then probably in the last year, I've been like really showing up for it. I've just been. I think for me, so in my family, it's like because everyone's so funny, it's like very frowned upon to repeat a joke in my family. So it's like a weird thing to get into stand up because in my family, everyone's like laser quick. And like, if you miss a joke, you miss a joke. No one's like, did you hear that? Like, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like improv in that way. It's like, it happens and then it's gone forever. So when I started doing stand up, and it was like, open mics to me were really embarrassing because it was like I would have to just go and say the same jokes to the same 4 people.
Yeah, you're working on an act.
Yeah, you're working it out and you're figuring it. And like I would go and I'd be like, I'd be like, oh God, I gotta like just go up and like, you know, it's like the host, and then it's like usually, you know, when you first start going, it's just like the 3 people who are left, and they heard you the night before, and you just gotta be like, okay. And like, obviously there's so much benefit in that, and that's how you get good.
That's how you get good.
Right. And so, but it was like, I was so embarrassed about it for a while.
That's so funny.
Isn't that weird?
I think I talked to Phil Florence about it when he came on. I think he wanted to have a new set every time he went up, and then he saw people working on material, and that's how, exactly right. That's how you get good at it.
Every time I would go, I would try to do something different, or I would try to like, work on new stuff. And even now, like if I go to 5 a week, I'll try to do like a different set one of those nights, just because like even though there's so much benefit in like just working something out, like, and I obviously do that as well, but it's like it would just be so embarrassing to me in the beginning.
I took a break from open mics and a little bit of stand up earlier this year, and now that I'm coming back to more open mics, I'm realizing that I can use material more flippantly. I can say jokes on stage that I don't necessarily need to keep around and stop working on. If a joke doesn't work 2 or 3 times for me, I don't want to do this. I don't want to force a Best Buy bit if it's not going to work. If it's just exhausting.
How many times do you let something die before you're like, that's gone forever?
Probably about 2 or 3.
2 or 3, really?
2 or 3. I'm just, because if I'm not having fun with it, I'm not going to do it. I did a show last night. It was the longest set I've ever done. And I did a 5-minute story at the end, and I was in it for 20 minutes, and then I started to tell this story. And for that first 20 minutes, it was like, things are going well. I can try something new. I've wanted to try this for a while and have time to fill. So in that confidence, I was able to punch it up on stage. It was the first time I've ever felt like I'm writing on stage. And then last night, I'm sitting in the room thinking, I want to do more of that. I want to do more writing from the stage and coming more open mics. You don't have to. I think I can do something 2 times, and if I don't like it, tomorrow night I'm coming back with something new. I'm coming back with something that I've been thinking about. More.
I've been working on that too. I'm very written in my comedy because a lot of the comics that I love the most are very, very written, and so that's like,
who would those be?
Like your John Mulaney's, your Bo Burnham's, like
right.
I love really written, like every word is planned, and like I think that's the kind of comedy I love, and so I'm like, obviously you just do what you love.
That's Mulaney's the big one for me too. It's he's one of those comics. Every single word is mapped out.
Right.
I go back and forth on this now. I loved Mulaney when I started, and he was the one that New in Town got me into comedy. Really, that was the one that got. This is interesting. Like it became art more than entertainment to me, and now I'm getting to the point that if I am so scripted on stage, I'm not enjoying it as much.
Right.
I would rather transition to more of like a Rory Scovel, who's very outwardly open, doesn't really care if a tag doesn't work that he came up with. Then I'm starting to drift more towards that.
Me too, and I think a lot of it is just going to mics and like being more comfortable with that, because also it's like if you're working out new tags from the stage, it is, I think, less embarrassing. Like that thing I had where it was like I'm going up and I'm doing these like very written jokes and like obviously trying to make them feel like it's the first time I've told them, but now I'm like it's sort of helped me to get past that, just like getting over it and going all the time as often as I can, and then just like trying new things and like being like, okay, I'm just going to go till I see the light versus like, I have to close on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up.
Well, you just said something too that I've never thought about. Why I think I really like doing that too is if I have this whole scripted set, I walk into Hambones on a Thursday like this is gonna be you're gonna lose your mind, Helen. And then it doesn't exactly. Tonight's the night. I don't know. Is Conan here? Because tonight's the night. And then I walk in and it doesn't work. And that is so much more discouraging than I got up on stage, tried a new 5 minutes that I've never said. I've had thought, but I've never said anything like this.
Right.
And it doesn't work. I can go back and say, well, I didn't plan any of it.
Right.
I don't know if that's the way to think, but I think that's part of why I like that is it's trial and error.
Right. And it's like, I mean, an open mic is such a low stakes environment for testing out things. Like, it's like you are not honestly expected to kill at an open mic.
No.
And if you're killing an open mic, like really try something new.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you're probably doing the same stuff over and over.
Yeah. Well, do you feel that way? Because I'll try something new, and if I don't get laughs, my brain will go into like this sort of just dead end sort of thing, and I'll go back to material I know works.
Yeah.
I hate doing that. If I can get past this snapping going on in my brain, like what material works, and just keep trying new stuff, I think that would make me a better comic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
For me, I have sort of a combo. Like, I think it depends on the room. Like, how badly am I bombing? If it's really bad, so lately I've been trying to do like all new, like say on Mondays I do all new stuff or something.
Yeah.
So it's like all new stuff, and it's only like 3 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like not,
Right.
and then they give you the light.
Right.
And like, okay, so it's like 3 minutes, not that long of a time, really,
Right.
to try
Sure.
something out. So it's like, but if it's just been like if like that 3 minutes has felt like 10 and it's so brutal, then I'll be like, here's a zinger to
quick
go,
hit.
just like for my own self-esteem to get a laugh before I leave.
Just so I don't go home and
Yeah,
want to
just so I
quit
don't
this
drive off
stupid
the
thing that I'm
bridge
doing.
on the way out. But I've been trying to just live in it more. Like now that I've been like going up more, I've been thinking of it. I think it was on Jilson, You Made It Weird.
Oh yeah.
Your podcast gives me
We
You
could
Made It
talk
Weird
about
vibes.
8 hours. Yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
So it's like, I forget who it was on that show, but they're talking about how open mics are like the calluses on your finger when you're learning guitar. Like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And so I've just been thinking of it that way. And it's like, yeah, get comfortable with a room that's not feeling it, because then when they are, or like when it's like a more dangerous environment of like a bigger room or like drunker people,
where there's more stakes,
Yeah,
where
it's
you're
like-
getting paid to be there.
right? You can just like, it's good practice in just being confident.
Yeah.
Because I feel like once you seem nervous, which happens to me, like if
They're
I'm
gone.
not doing well, I'm like, here's one that kills. Yeah, it's like they can sniff it out like a
Yeah.
blood in the tank, and they're like, this is over.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to just be like so confident that they're like, maybe she doesn't know she's not doing that well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's it. And but your job is to be confident on
Right.
stage. I did a show in Columbus last week, and
Cool
I was
sentence. Cool sentence.
Thank you very much. It wasn't bragging at all. But
that
I
is
said in
cool.
Columbus,
Yeah.
in the United
Hey,
States.
that's cool. When you started, wouldn't that have been the coolest thing?
Oh, that would have
that would've blown your mind to be
this
like,
week, like, because the show I did last night, most time I've ever done, it was Derek Knopfsnyder, and it sold like 55 tickets, but my name was on the marquee. My name was on a
Clapping
TV.
into the mic.
I
Woo!
didn't put it there.
Yeah.
And somebody made an advertisement for it. If you told me that a year ago, I'd be like, get the fuck out of my apartment. That's
Incredible.
not happening.
I opened for Aaron Kleiber at the Oaks in, I think, February, and he very generously put like my name up on the
Oh,
marquee.
my
with his,
gosh.
and I took the nerdiest photos.
Oh, I bet you did.
I did.
And you should.
I sent it to my whole family. I was like, Mom, I made it. I'm at the Oaks. You didn't come, but I'm here. She was out of town.
Is your mom local? Your mom's local,
She
right?
just moved to State
Did
College,
you tell me
Pennsylvania.
that
No.
just now? Okay.
They
Why?
why is
Is
it
she
great
getting a
question.
bachelor's degree?
She's
thought
going
that was
back
the
to
only
school.
way. Is she?
It's gonna be
Really?
a movie starring her and Anne Hathaway. She's going no.
Oh, okay.
She's the intern. No, so my eldest brother Martin lives in State College with his wife and children, and then my brother Steven lives in Philadelphia with his wife and kid, and my brother Alan lives in Pittsburgh with his wife and children. And so they wanted to live in State College because it's in the middle of all the grandchildren, and because it reminds them of Ireland a little bit. It's like a small farm town, and like
Interesting.
they wanted to be able to like walk into town and not have to worry about driving when they get older.
Right.
And yeah, so my dad just retired in January, and they just moved. They closed on Wednesday in their house, and they just moved up there.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Is it sad to see them go farther away?
It's weird. It's weird to think that they don't live in Pittsburgh anymore.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Like they are a 2.5 hour drive away right now.
Yeah. I mean, how long were they there? 33 years.
26.
26 years.
Yeah.
Jeez,
So-
man. Whew.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Now they're in State College, and like I said, like, here's our new home phone number. I was like, new landline. I updated him, and then I left them a voicemail. I was like, just checking out the new landline, and they called me back, and I'm like, hi, yeah.
They
It's
went
fine.
out of their
You're
they
grown.
went out of their way to get a landline though.
They did.
That's committal.
You
to-
know what? They
the
want us
landline.
to be able to reach them when they're home.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That is really nice. How's reception in State College?
Wonderful.
I can't imagine. It's great.
It's
I
wonderful.
thought it was in a valley.
It's in a happy valley.
It's in a very
it's the happiest of valleys. It's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you move from Pittsburgh?
I would.
You would?
Yeah.
Would you want to for comedy?
For comedy and for life. Like I've grown up here, so I feel like I'm always very impressed with the fact that my parents were in their 40s when they moved to another country. And with 4 children, like my parents were in their 40s, they had 4 kids, and they were like, you know what? We're going to move to the USA for a while. And they thought it would be a few-year thing and that they would move back. But then, like, Martin was 15, so then he went to university a few years later, and then, suddenly, and then we were all, like, going to school year, and then it was like, then they got married, and then they had American kids, and it's like, now we're here. It's, like, pretty much planted.
Right.
So,
Have you been back to Ireland?
Yeah, I go every year.
You go every year.
Yeah, pretty
Have
much.
you done comedy over there?
I have not.
You have not?
I have not. I almost did. I was there in November for my cousin's wedding, and I almost did a set in Belfast, but it was like we didn't. It was like a weird family. We didn't have a time situation, so I was like, and then it was because I was my friend Katie Barbaro, who is a stand-up comedian in New York City. She met me over there.
Okay.
And so we were like trolling for mics, but we just ended up not being able to.
Yeah.
But I'm hopefully going back next year.
I'd be worried about doing a set like in the UK area. I know Ireland's not. It's Northern Ireland, right?
It's
part
of
of
the UK, technically,
the
yeah.
kingdom. But
that United Kingdom.
The kingdom of the United. But I'd be afraid to do a set in like London or something, under the assumption that people in the UK just hate America. I'll tell you a story. When I studied abroad, I was at a ATM at 2 a.m, and there was this group of 4 people. I know, right? I'm a wild
living
person.
on the edge.
Listen.
What could he be getting out money for at 2 a.m? You know what I mean?
22 is crazy.
That's a wild time.
It was wild. That was the story. Okay. There was this group of 4 people in front of us, 2 guys, 2 girls, and this one guy was like, I hate the Brits. I hate them so much. They're the worst. And he was going on and on
He's
and
from
on.
Alabama.
I can't do accents. Your accent's very good. It's going to be... And this girl turns around and looks at me, and she's like, I'm so sorry. We're from Ireland. And he hates the Brits. I'm like, well, I'm from America, so I don't really care either way. And he looks me dead in the eye. And he goes, I hate you even more. I'm like, I didn't get money. I didn't get money out of the ATM. I'm like, I'm out of here.
You're like, you know what? I don't need those.
I don't need the
right
money.
now.
I don't need those drugs in the UK.
I'll get them tomorrow.
Wasn't doing drugs.
Yeah, of course
in the UK.
not. No one
Absolutely
thinks
not.
that. No one thinks that. That's wild. No, I have very positive experiences as returning as like an American, dare I say, hero to that's not what they call it, to Ireland. I find that they love, Ireland particularly loves Americans.
Oh, why?
They think they're cool. I think so much of our pop culture here has seeped in over there. Like, they love our television. They love our music. It's like there are very few Irish acts that you would know here, but they would know so many American acts over there.
Dropkick Murphys.
Sure.
One.
Yeah.
I call one.
Westlife.
One.
That's a boy band.
I don't know.
But so they love like American pop culture, and then Americans love, like, I always felt growing up that I was so lucky because to have the experience of being an immigrant in this country, to like, obviously I had no choice. I guess I got to choose between Belgium and but
you would have been an immigrant either way.
I would have been vetoed. Let's be honest, I was 6. So I was going where I was like, wherever you guys are going, just please +1, bring me with you.
Yeah.
So they
please
came
take
here.
your child along.
Please bring me. And so they came here, and it was like the way Americans feel about Ireland is so positive. It's like, so to be an immigrant, to come to a place where this country loves where you're from, like there's a lot of immigrants who I don't think have that experience.
Oh no.
About their home country. Americans
have you heard
of
of the news?
I have. I've heard of it. It's a little grim. So I feel very lucky on that. Like that people want to stop me and be like, oh my gosh, where in Ireland are you from? My great grandfather's from. Like that's a very positive experience, and it's very lucky, and it has nothing to do with me. Like I didn't choose to be born in Ireland. I didn't choose to come here. It's like really all very lucky that people are very positive about it. And so going back to Ireland, it's like Americans love Ireland. Like they go there and they're like, we love you. And so they love you back. A lot of it is like, Yeah, I find it to be very positive. So when I go home to Ireland, I get my Irish accent back, and they're always like, "No, try to sound American," because they think it's so cool to have like an American cousin. I'm like, "Hey y'all," I'm also not good at accents.
But you can tell them from America.
I'm like, "Let's go to Walmart." Like just say something American. I'm like, "Hey y'all, let's go to Walmart."
How embedded is your culture in you? Like, do you? I guess that's my question. Is there a strong feeling of? All right, let's take an example then. If you meet somebody from Ireland in America, how drawn are you to them not because of where you're from, but specifically the culture that you inherited?
I feel.
Does that question make any sense? I mean, know what I'm saying. I don't know.
I think I feel drawn to them in that. I don't. It's weird because so growing up in Ireland, it was weird because I was from Northern Ireland, still am, and so it was like my dad's Catholic, my mom's Protestant. It was like we lived in this mixed neighborhood in Ireland where it was like in Belfast, where it was like, fine to have mixed families like ours. There were like Catholics and Protestants on the street who were cool with each other, and then my family was mixed, and then so it's like. There, it's like my mom's family feels very much like they're British, and my dad's family feels very much like they're Irish. So it's this weird thing, and like. So when I'm going home, like if I post about like Northern Ireland, my dad's family's like, it's Ireland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mom's family's like, Northern Ireland. So it's like a weird, so already that was weird. And then we came here. So then I was an immigrant here. And I was like, I'm from Ireland. And they were like, okay, but like I'm from Ireland. And I was like, well, like your grandparents are from Ireland. So it was like a weird thing. And then it's like when I go back to Ireland, it's like to them I'm American. Like here I seem Irish, there I seem American. So it was like this weird identity thing.
Yeah, you have a lot of layers there.
Thank you.
You have a lot of layers.
I didn't want to phrase it that way, but I have a lot of layers. I'm wearing a jacket and a light shirt. So it's like it's always been a weird but so I feel very drawn to Irish people, but like I don't know, I feel like everyone, I don't know, I feel like people are way more Irish than I am. Like all the time. One time I was talking to this person.
You think other people are way more Irish than
Yeah, like my parents I think are way more Irish than I am. My older brothers who came here when they were older I think are more Irish. My cousins are more Irish.
Right.
Like I don't know, I feel like I'm Irish, but
yeah.
But then it's so funny because Americans think they're so Irish, so they'll be like,
do they?
I think they do. I met someone and they were like, they'll be like, oh, you were 6 when you came here? Then you're not Irish. And then they'll be like, but my great grandfather's from Ireland. I'm 100%. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Someone said to me once, they were like, how old were you when you came here? And I said 6 years old. And they're like, oh, you're not Irish. My uncle's really Irish. He's from Boston. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been there. It's beautiful.
No, man, I love anybody European. I don't know what it is, but like, and that's ridiculous. Oh, you were here 6.5. You're not Irish.
Doesn't
Get the
count,
fuck out of my face. When I found out Osha Dwyer was born in London, I'm like, you are a Brit. You are the coolest person I know.
Cool.
I'm like, that's great.
I know, it's so cool.
It.
Yeah, but I do feel drawn when I see someone from Ireland. It's just like an interesting meeting anyone. Like it's like when I'm in anywhere and they're like, I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh, it's like just any sort of connection you have with someone is cool. I think. Yeah. It's like someone just stand up, you're like, hey, I just,
Do you like soccer?
Yeah.
Soccer a thing in Ireland?
Yeah, soccer's
is
a
a
thing.
big
It's
thing.
a big thing.
I love Premier League soccer.
Yeah?
I really do.
I have a friend who plays on the Premier League. Damian Johnson's his name. We grew up on the same street.
Really?
Yeah.
You keep in touch with him?
Not really.
No.
My mom talks to his mom.
Oh, that's fun.
So
that's pretty impressive.
That's
pretty exciting.
Our moms are friends. Yeah, I like the Tottenham Spurs. That's my favorite.
I love those Spurs, my team,
yeah?
baby.
No.
Going to the finals.
I love the Spurs.
I love Spurs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
I watched Trevor Austin's episode at the very beginning. I put Lucas Moura scoring the hat trick to send them to the Champions League final. It's in that episode.
That's amazing.
Very beginning. So that is proof on pudding that
is proof on the pudding.
that I do enjoy Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. That's great. What do you want to do with comedy? I guess my question is, what are your goals in the next couple years?
Next couple years to get better.
That's the only answer I ever want to hear.
Yeah,
it really
just to make more people laugh and to, I guess to have a perspective that's important. Like I have a thing about like creating shows and like I know I'm always like, do we need my perspective thrown in the hat? You know what I mean? Sort of a thing. It's like there's so many voices out there already.
Say that one more time.
Like there's so many voices being thrown into the hat already. It's like, am I bringing something new to this conversation?
Yeah,
like,
okay.
like
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
about like doing a YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, do we need another YouTube
Oh, yeah.
channel? Like from like, what do I have to say that's different from anybody else? Like that sort of thing.
And
It's
yeah.
sort of like, I guess it's like an imposter syndrome thing. Maybe I don't know.
Kinda. I mean, I felt that way with the podcast.
Yeah,
I
your
really
podcast
did.
is
Like,
so good.
oh, thank you very much. But I felt that way. I mean, there's like a fucking billion podcasts
Right.
in the next 5 mile radius of Pittsburgh, right? I mean, it really is true. I could find a podcast on fucking everything.
Right. And so it's like the confidence to be like, yeah, but like I have something to say. So like with comedy, I feel like there's so many people doing comedy. There are
Yeah.
people who've been doing it way longer than I have. There are people who are doing it better than I am. And it's like just about, yeah, just hopefully saying something that's important to people and like that resonates with people and hopefully makes them think and like brings joy to their lives.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
there's
my
that
goal.
story. You're exactly right. I don't mean to cut you off, but
No.
there's a Pete Holmes thing. I mean, he said whenever he was starting the podcast, he's like, "What do you want to do? You just want to talk to people?" And Pete Holmes was like, "Yeah, but it's going to be me talking to them."
Right. Exactly.
Right? It's your personality
Right.
that you
It's
bring.
me. That's like him with the
me,
guest. Right.
Right?
It's like, what does he bring out in them?
Right. And even
Right.
think about comedy. Every bit has been done about every topic, right?
There's nothing we can think of that hasn't been said. a
No.
million times.
Well, maybe not said, but every topic, it seems like.
Right.
You could find probably an hour's worth of stand-up on trees. But it's your perspective, right? It's
But
your
what do you think
perspective.
about trees?
Why does maple syrup trees? That's weird, man. And then you make a bit out of your own personality.
Right.
And I feel like I have to constantly remind myself of that with stand-up. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there is hacky material that has been said a million times that
Mm-hmm.
I'm even trying to flesh out of. Not even. I'm trying to flesh out of my
Yeah.
stupid jokes, but coming to it from my perspective, from my perspective, I think that helps you distinguish it. So when you say YouTube page, yeah, it's gonna be Helen, but like there's Helen's YouTube
This
page.
is welcome to Helen's
exciting.
YouTube.
You're coming at it from your own vantage
Right.
point of life.
Of course. And like every perspective is important. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a weird thing to think because I wouldn't think that about other people. I'd be like, you shouldn't say your opinion.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a weird. But yeah, I guess I just want to get better. I don't know.
Mhm.
I would love to do it more. I would love to do it, obviously. Yeah, I love comics and I love like the type of person who's drawn to this, I think is
Yeah.
so interesting. And I think a lot of it comes from being an outsider. Like what got you into stand up?
It's funny.
Or what
Well, I've been a
podcast?
fan of stand-up for
Yeah.
a while, but I was working I've told it a couple times in here, but I was working at Northwestern Mutual for a long time, which was a great job, but my whole goal was to sit down with people, ask them if their friends and family wanted to buy life insurance.
Right.
That was my job. So I sat down with Joe Marchi, who I've known for many, many years. He grew
Yeah.
up in the public school or in the private school across the street, or Catholic school across the street from my public school. So we've known each other for a long time. We hung out a little bit. And I sat down with him intending to ask if his parents wanted to buy life insurance, if
Right.
I could be introduced. I said, what are your parents up to? He's like, nothing. So anyway, I'm starting to host this open mic on Monday nights at Hambones.
Oh, cool.
And that's what got me into it. But I wanted to do stand-up for a long, long time. I mean,
Wow.
Mulaney was the one that kind of transitioned it for me. It's more art than entertainment.
Mhm.
And what you're saying, you like being around comics. I just wanted to be around this group of people.
Yeah.
There's a certain bug that you catch starting to do stand-up, not just doing the stand-up,
Mhm.
but hanging out with these
Totally.
type of people that are funny, that are honest with you, in almost every situation, and relentless.
Yeah.
I think.
What I love about stand up is like you hang out with a stand up comedian and you know exactly how they feel about you. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like it's not a
honest,
lot
yeah.
of versus like I did improv for a little while too, and I feel like everyone's so friendly and so nice. But it's like you
You-
hang out with a stand up comedian and they're like, here's what I don't like about you. Like
Yeah.
here's what you're doing wrong.
Did you find improv people wouldn't tell you how
yeah.
they felt about you?
Yeah, I feel like after every show, it's like, great job. You know what I mean? Like
I've
you,
heard-
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
get notes or whatever. Like, but I feel like you have to really ask for them. Like
Yeah.
some coaches obviously will be like, hey, here's some notes. But I feel like it's just a very positive. It's like I feel like it's a more like supportive
Yeah.
environment in a way. But
Yeah.
like
But there's
really
detriment
love
to that,
right.
too.
I think so too, and I really love constructive criticism. I think it's crucial, and I think it's how we grow. And like my friends and I subscribe to the school of hard talks, we call it, where it's like, yeah, like having these difficult conversations with someone is like really important. And so it's like whether it's like, hey, here's something that like really upset me that you did, or like, and I feel like stand-ups are just sort of that way naturally, where they're just like, hey, like they're not gonna let a beef fester. I don't think it's like next time they see you, they're like, hey, what was that about, or like.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's like they're drawn, like they want to spend their nights, their free time in a bar making people laugh. Like
sometimes
that's
for two people and they're both comics.
right. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
I'm 100% on board with you. You're in a field where you are building an hour's worth of comedy based on honesty and what you're thinking. Yeah. So whenever you deal with stand-up comedians, I think they're most likely to tell you exactly what they're thinking and what they're feeling. Yeah. Besides hopefully a doctor. Yeah. You understand? Like that's
totally. And they like so much of stand-up is knowing yourself and like finding your voice and finding who you are. So I feel like there's so much self-actualization in stand-up comedians. It's like they're very aware of like how they come off and what they seem like and how they actually are. Like they know those three things. Yeah. And I really love people with that awareness about themselves.
But you also grew up with your family like that too, right? I mean, were they an honest, like they're joking around constantly, but is it honest humor? But I asked that question before. I asked, are they making fun of you?
It's very ways? Like, so the thing about Irish parents is like like I feel like American parents are so like, it's sort of like the trophy thing where it's like everyone gets a trophy here, whereas like Irish parents, it's like you're all right, you know what I mean? Like like you'll go home and you'll be like guess what I did? Like, yeah, you're all right. Like it's fine. Like you're fine. It's not like special.
Did your parents deal with that whenever they were raising you? Different cultures, Irish America, where Irish it's you fail, succeed, and when I was growing up, it started to transition more towards that of everybody gets a medal. Did your parents deal with that at all in raising you specifically?
Yeah, I think my mom worked in a school for a long time. She was an aide to kids with special needs.
I think I knew that.
So she was in this, like, so when I first started going to school, she was like a recess aide in my school, so I'd see her there. Yeah. And so and then she went to a different school, and I obviously moved on. I went up to middle school. didn't just transfer. I kept going. And so so she would be like, we'd come home from like track and field day, and I'd have a blue ribbon, and she'd be like, like her, because I
should we take this and put it in the furnace?
Not athletic. She'd be like, well, you got one. Like, are they just giving those? Like,
are they giving those?
Yeah. Oh, like how do you think you did? Like, it was like very much like, do you think that you earned that trophy? And I'd be like, honestly,
interesting.
It's like, which is like, I think helpful to be like, I'd be like, I got this because my team was like, I knew very much like I wasn't the athlete, and I was like, I got this because my team did well. Yeah. But like, probably, like I didn't help. Yeah. In fact, they did well in spite of me, probably on a lot of these sports.
I think about that and I get worried raising a kid like that too in this culture. I'm nowhere near having a child by any means.
Breaking the news.
Well, Monica, I have news to tell you. Also, my whole family. I tell her, you're pregnant.
It goes the other way.
I have some news for you, baby. Awesome, baby. I do worry about that a little bit. I was raised in that kind of Irish mentality. If you don't succeed, then you don't deserve that, and that's helped me as a person. Yeah. I can't imagine being a child now who gets not pampered. What's the word?
Praise for
everything. And then trying to get into stand-up 10 years from now. Like, you're going to quit the first time you're up, totally. Right?
Also, you learn what's funny about you, I think, from being different. Like if your childhood, like, there's not a lot of comics who are like, we're prom king. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you were an outsider. You were an outsider. And it's like you learn what's funny. Like, I think it's a lot of observation from being on the outside and like seeing things that other people don't see when they're in it. Right. And I think that's where it comes from. And so to be just like, everything's amazing. Yeah. And like my parents were obviously very like sweet and loving, but it was like, very genuine feedback, I think.
Yeah.
And my brothers too. Is like you probably saw when you studied in London, like it's a lot of taking the piss out of each other.
Oh, yeah,
right? It's like that's a
absolutely.
big part of the humor, and it's
That's
like
the best.
in a loving way. And it's like, yeah, if I do one time when I was young, I dropped 3 bowls of ice cream in a row. And so to this day, if anyone brings up ice cream, my brothers look, Helen, you want some ice cream? Smash!
Oh, that's hilarious.
33 years old. I was maybe 4. We lived in Ireland. And they'll be like, obviously, also don't give a child who's dropped 2 bowls of ice cream a 3rd bowl of ice cream. You know what I mean? What are we doing?
Right.
But it's like nothing gets like my nieces and nephews now will be like, smash. And I'm like, you weren't even, how do you know this story?
You weren't even existing.
Like, your dad was 7. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening? You're 7. Why do you get to roast me up?
Oh my God.
That's how my family is.
That's great.
But what I will say is that, like, now when you go to open mics and, like, there's something, because so much of it is, like, earning your place, I feel like, in stand-up. I feel like now, just because I love comics so much, like, if I walk into Hamilton, everyone's like, hey, Helen, it's like, I feel like I've made it. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so much, like, the camaraderie and, like just getting to, like, sit at the table feels like such a joy to me.
Yeah.
And, like, doing this with you, it's like, it's like
a thing.
It's
yeah.
so cool.
I completely agree with you.
I love it.
When I felt I was a real part of this scene was sitting at a table at Hambones, but Derek Minto inviting me for my first show. That was another big milestone. And then I had another one. Getting asked to do Garrett Teitelbaum's podcast.
Yeah,
that's
same.
a big fucking deal, man. Like, that really changed my trajectory and my confidence. And little things like that help your stage presence.
Totally.
It's I still get nervous when I'm working out new material in front of comics because they're almost guaranteed not to laugh.
Right.
For anything. I don't laugh at material from new comics that I think is funny almost habitually at this point. For no reason. If I think something's funny, I should laugh. But for some reason, I can't anymore. Yeah. But those are big milestones. Right. I mean, it helps your stage presence. So
totally. And I remember I thought, like, I went to watch at the Pleasure Bar. Mm-hmm. It was like one of my like off periods of like not really doing stand up. Okay. And I would like go and watch, and it was like, I remember Garrett Teitelbaum was there, and like Molly was there, and like all these people, and I was like, this is the place. Like, and when I got asked to like close out there, I was like, I've made it. And then I got to do the residency at Burning Bridges in January.
Was that,
so cool. And I was like honored,
here,
like especially like Hamilton is like the spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like doing it there, I was like, they think I'm a stand-up comedian. It's just so.
Wait, hold on. They think I'm a comedian?
I was like, Helen Wildy? Did you mean?
Never heard that name.
Yeah. So yeah,
weird.
it was cool. It was really cool. They they were really generous, and I got to do every Sunday and a few Saturdays, and then they would like give great feedback.
Yeah. Well, they're good at feedback too. John Dick Winters gave feedback a couple Monday nights in a row, and that was extremely helpful.
So helpful.
Yeah.
I always love feedback. Anytime anyone's open to notes, it's like
you're open to constructive criticism.
Yeah. Happy to hear what someone thinks. Like, I only see what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's like, how did that look to you? I have to listen back to it on my drive home. But
would you say doing any improv has helped your stand-up?
Yeah, I think so. I think it helped my confidence on stage generally. I think it helped me when I first started doing improv. Sort of as like when I got back into stand-up, like started doing stand-up again, and it was like I was in Improv 101, and I remember Christy Nolan was my teacher, and she had us like stand on the stage, and we had some exercise that it was like get in line or whatever. I don't know, but it was like the lesson was there was no time limit, but like being on stage, you just felt like you were under like a crunch of a time clock. And she was like, I didn't like, you could have taken 20 minutes, like it doesn't matter. And it's like, oh yeah, when you're on stage, you feel like time is moving double speed. And like that was an interesting lesson to be like, oh yeah, take your time, like just be on stage, be comfortable on stage, and like yeah. Oh,
there's I've been incorporating more silence into my act.
Yeah.
And pauses.
Pauses are
slowing
huge.
Down. I've been a fan of Mike Birbiglia for 6-7 years. Yeah. And now I'm starting to get to, okay, there's a cadence to what I'm saying. Right. And that is half of the bit. Right. I did a joke last night, and I paused for 5 seconds and then told the punchline. And the laughter built up in that silence. Yeah. And then you hit him with that punchline. They shit their pants.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's a real benefit to just not talking on stage.
Right. And just letting it build and being comfortable. Just being like, you know what? This is going to be worth the 5-second wait.
I agree.
Some things are worth the 5-second wait.
Exactly. Well, we're at an hour.
Woo!
I know. We're
Flew
pretty
by.
close to it. So I'm going to ask you this question. Hey, thank you very much for being here,
Thank
too.
you so much
Thank
for
you very
having
much
me.
for
What
doing
an
this. So
honor.
I'm going to ask you this question. You have listened to this show?
I have.
Do you know the question?
I do know the
Okay,
question.
well, I'm going to ask it to you anyway. So
I will say I love your podcast. It's very much
Thank
reminiscent to me
you.
of my favorite podcast, which is You Made,
You Made It Weird.
And it's like
Well-
the comedy part, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to like. I've learned so much about people in the scene.
Oh, yeah.
like from
I think
listening
it
to your
has.
podcast.
I
Like,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great.
I've always called this podcast You Made It Weird but Bad.
It's
I
really
like
good.
thinking that. It's just like a shitty You Made It Weird. That's what it is.
It's like a third of the time, a third of the subject.
Exactly.
And it is much more digestible.
I could
on
talk
a
about
commu-
sex and God because my
Me
dad was a Methodist minister for a
Oh,
long time,
wow.
so I could talk about it for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this question. So I started dating Monica a year and a couple months ago.
She's
Or-
lovely.
Thank you very much. She is. Why am I? I'm sorry. No, I shouldn't be saying thank you to that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I should, and I
She is
shouldn't be
great.
giving
She
you
is the
a
best.
welcome. But you're welcome.
I don't need to answer for her. I'm sorry, Monica. Okay. So you're at a bar, Helen.
Yeah.
Night is going bad.
Classic
Like you
Monday.
haven't heard this.
Just kidding.
Bartender was recently revealed to be. I'm tired of saying Nazi.
the
It's
KGB.
not
I hear you say
the
sometimes.
last remaining member of the KGB.
Sure.
I like saying that.
Yeah.
There's quicksand in the back. I know.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna turn this around.
You're
with
gonna
a
turn it
jam.
around, and you know how you're gonna turn it
Yeah.
around? It's karaoke night,
Yeah.
and it is your job, Helen, to say the entire night. What song are you singing?
Wow. I'm gonna sing a song that I think will hype up the crowd and has a message. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Why has nobody said that?
It's such a good karaoke jam.
It is a karaoke jam and very morbid.
It is
'Cause
morbid.
people have died in the bar. Maybe I didn't
True.
mention that, but people have died.
Oh, they have died.
But that's really funny.
Well, I won't.
Well, you won't. And hopefully other people won't, because they'll hear the song
Yeah.
and then they won't die.
Yeah.
And then,
Did you think
People will
I'd
be fine.
crumble?
yeah.
Did you think I'd lay down and die? They're
Oh,
like,
I'm sorry.
they're like
Did you think
insensitive.
I'd lay down and die?
Oh no, I
Oh,
will
no.
survive.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that answer.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to promote?
When does this come out?
Tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Quick
That
turn
is
around.
woohoo.
Turn around.
Lickety split. Yeah, I would say I don't even know what date it is. Going out of town for Memorial Day weekend like a lazy
That's
comic
fun.
who
Where are you
loves her
going?
friends. I'm going to Ligonier. There's a cabin that
Yeah.
Victoria, my girlfriend, and I love.
Great.
Also pregnant. Just kidding.
Also,
Sorry.
also
Babe,
great.
I've got news
You
for
are
you.
pregnant.
Yeah, we're going to just like a cabin for the weekend with
Awesome.
some friends. Very exciting. But I'm doing an ACLU fundraiser at Arcade Comedy
I'll write
Theater
that
on
down.
Thursday of next week, the 30th. And then I'm going to Detroit for a festival.
Oh,
so
really?
if you're in Detroit,
If you're
come
in-
to that Friday
What is the
and
festival called?
Saturday. It's Detroit Women in Comedy Festival. I'll be there. I'm doing a 20-minute on Friday and a 10-minute on Saturday. Very exciting.
20-minute Friday and then 10 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the show May 30th is at Arcade.
Yep, it's for the ACLU. So if you like civil liberties,
We like
come
civil
support
liberty.
that. If that's your jam.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much for this. You get to sign us off. You get to say anything you'd like. I've had people be inspirational, people be depressing, people
wow.
just swear, say whatever you'd like.
Okay. Have the best day. Just try your hardest and be sweet to people
Be sweet
and
to
laugh a
people.
lot.
And laugh a lot.
Yeah. Have a great time.
That's great. Thank you, Helen.
I would try for you, would you try